All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. I'm still a little clapped, so we're going to go at my normal speed, but I don't know if you liked AI Josh, but we have a lot to talk about because the last 2 days have been absolutely wild. Now, yesterday, it was all about the war stuff in Israel, and now this morning, a lot of people were saying it wasn't an issue. And now what I want to talk about today is the distinct difference between how we reacted to the Fed speakers and then what we have tomorrow. But essentially, I still believe the war will potentially be an issue, but in the meantime, I think today showed the CPI and American data this week is still important. So, Chad, we got a lot to talk about. I'm like kind of back. It's like good to be back here a little bit. And there's a lot of events that happened today. Really, there was just China stimulus. So, drop that thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/The Stock Market. And I know you liked the one yesterday, but run it, baby.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down.
But right off the bat, we got to start with yesterday and what happened today with the Fed speakers. So if you watched the AI video yesterday, there was reasoning, and a lot of people in the market yesterday were talking about the Fed comments. This little pop right here, it was while the voter Fed Jefferson was speaking. Now today, you had 4 Fed speakers, 2 of them were voters, and most of them were right around here, and the market did not move at all. You mix that in with what we saw today after the war. Like I said here in the beginning, this is highlighting that the market is really getting ready for our data. Now, the other thing, and this was a very big driver, go across the world right now, all the stocks, KWeb, Baba, Baidu, they jumped up. Sure enough, you had bad China news that slipped under the radar yesterday with Evergrande, but today, the Chinese government was talking about stimulus once again, and people got excited. If you haven't realized, remember, that was the beginning of the year. Everybody got excited by that trade, and then it fell off, and then China's kind of been down in the dumps here. Not as bad as last year, but still pretty bad. That had a big effect on today. So there was that, but what I'm trying to highlight here is that you had big headlines of the war. You had the market moving seemingly on Fed headlines, but it was nothing. Even today, you had people brushing off the war just because it was day 2 and there was no crazy escalation. But just take a look at oil. It's doing the little pin, and you see how that's holding. This is creepy. I don't like when a major commodity or asset just holds up like that. I think this is telling us, well, there is no development. We don't know what's going to happen. Doesn't mean we freak out just yet, but at the same time, I do not think the whole war situation is over. So I was telling you, maybe I need like full voice back, but essentially, the risk of this is that it turns into a slow, drawn-out conflict, and it brings in other countries and other nations, literally how we have seen with Ukraine and Russia. So that would have big effects, but now tied into oil and energy and inflation right now, that is not good. So that's the breakdown pretty much. All of this is highlighting that we need to be waiting for the data. And yes, we went over the calendar yesterday. Hopefully you are prepared. Thursday, that is going to be the CPI. Hopefully I'll be able to get you a video. But now tomorrow, this is where things get good. You have the Fed minutes, and that's going to be later. And although you would think that's the headline, and even though we've kind of downplayed some of the Fed minutes, we have seen movements out of them. But the PPI in the morning, this is an hour before the bell. This feeds into the PCE, and this can move the bonds, and it's inflation related. So hopefully this is easy to read tomorrow. If it comes in above 0.3, 0.4 by a big margin, that will be negative. The bond yields will even go up, and then vice versa. Now, the thing you have to keep in mind Last time we thought that it was going to be easy, that was the non-farm payrolls, and what happened, it was a major beat. The market went down for a little bit, and whether it's October seasonality or it's priced in, it's the bottom, it could be a lot of reasons. You saw the market do the opposite, and we are still rallying. We are up almost 130 points since that bottom. So keep that all in mind. You never know with how the market is, but generally speaking, the broader idea should be any inflation metrics getting hotter. That shouldn't be good for bonds in the market, but we'll see what happens. And even with that, before I end it, another thing to keep in mind, the bond auction opened today. You got to have the Fed and everybody else back, but bonds dropped and then came back up. So in the context of all of this in earnings and data, let's see how it operates now. Day 2, nothing in the way, and then we'll go from there. But simply wait for the PPI tomorrow. We'll get the Fed minutes. We'll see if that moves us. And if the market doesn't do anything decidedly after all of that data tomorrow, it's going to be all about the CPI. And then we can confirm how October is going to trade. But now, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, I got a couple plays. It's actually not that intense, but first one, it's going to be all the IPOs. ARM, I am still in cart, and remember the whole October theory. I said I wanted to go for one of the IPOs. They literally dropped like 9%, 10% in the last 2 days, and then rocketed up today, but ARM went up, and if you're not familiar, tomorrow, BIRK, Birkenstock, the sandals. I even read an article. They said it made a cameo in Barbie. So if that's going to be a selling point, I don't know, but they are IPOing tomorrow. It's a very interesting market. I put in an offer for shares. If I get it at the IPO price, I'm going to flip out immediately. But if not, then I don't know if I will trade it unless it meets criteria. But that is play number 1. Then play number 2, I think I'm early on this one, but we brought up earnings yesterday. And Intel, again, a lot of companies, the big ones, you're going to get them when the calendar says November. Why? Because we're starting earnings at the end of halfway through, pretty much the 3rd week of October. You're going to get the first set with banks, then you're going to get Tesla and Netflix, and then in that category, it's Intel, and then it's Meta, Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Google, and that will all be into November. But Intel, they've been interesting. It's all in the chip stuff. I don't know how people have been reacting to the AI stuff lately. It's cooled off with the rest of the market, but if those earnings are good, if the market after the data, all of that stuff is a green light, I would definitely be watching out for Intel. So that is play number 2. And then finally, play number 3. I did not make a play on this, but this one was the story yesterday. It keeps getting brought up. We were talking about defensives, but now RTX, either it's going to be buy the rumor, sell the news, or you're going to get a major pop and then it will trade. Very reminiscent to what happened last year, but RTX and the news that's being mentioned is that you are hearing of the United States pledging to refill the Iron Dome of Israel. Well, RTX, they're the ones who make the missiles for that. So people were talking about that. We'll see how it plays out throughout the week, but I didn't want to make a play because even though I do think defensives will respond to the next headline back and forth, it could take a lot of time, and I think there's just going to be a lot of back and forth until we figure it out. And then if anything, I would just be playing oil or watching that kind of as the major one, because if anything got serious, oil would get destabilized, and that getting destabilized, that is where a lot of the action will be. So, Chad, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was good for you, but that is it. It's short and sweet. We'll get the data tomorrow, and then we'll see if we get a real reaction. Otherwise, punt to CPI, then it's confirmation, then it's game time. And now, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydra LT ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, quitting is a choice, my friend. That's it. That's it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, baby. We out here. So, Chad, stay in the game. I love you. God bless you. Let's close out the year. It's already a new year. And let's go, bro. It's closer to Halloween and Thanksgiving than you think. But you made it this far. And don't forget about the long term and the yield and the bonds and all of it. I don't know why I'm whispering. It feels really comfortable. Okay. Horn.